Alright, ladies and gentlemen, we're back again today with another price action based video because price action is king and the most important thing. And what we're going to be talking about today is what basically happens every single day. And we're also going to get into how to predict what is going to happen throughout the trading day, throughout the different sessions. Okay? So, if you guys didn't know, you guys probably should know this if you're trading, but if you're brand new, there's a little something called accumulation, manipulation, and distribution, right? And throughout the day, there are three different trading sessions, right? There's the Asia session, the London session, and then the New York or US session. And based on history, we could usually, typically, nothing's ever certain when it comes to trading, but this has helped me make a lot of money because it does usually follow a certain type of pattern. Okay, so I got this nice little indicator. You guys can grab this too. It's called Lux Algo ICT Kill Zones Toolkit. It kind of just gives you an outline of each zone, right, and all the pivot points in the zone. And so, based on my experience, um, there is always gonna be those three or two out of those three things happening, right? There's always gonna be accumulation, no matter what. There's sometimes manipulation, but then there's always distribution. And if there is no distribution, then maybe it's like a holiday or like just nobody's trading or whatever. But majority of the days, there will always be accumulation, there will always be distribution. And most of the time, there will be manipulation, okay? And we can kind of see it right here. So, right off the rip from yesterday, we can look at the Asian market, right? Asian market opens, boom, manipulates to the upside. This would be the manipulation, okay? So the manipulation happened first. And remember, these can happen in basically any order, okay? And there could be multiple times that it manipulates, and multiple times that it accumulates, and multiple times that it distributes. But when it comes to the Asian session, we don't want to pay too much attention to it unless something dramatic happens during that session. Like, let's say if Asia was to just rip up and break new highs, like it possibly did. I can't remember the last time I did that, but I do remember there was a time I did do that. But whatever, that's irrelevant. If Asia, let's just make an example. If Asia was to just start ripping, just monster bull run right to the moon, then you can expect London and New York to kind of accumulate and distribute into the same zone. Manipulate into the same zone. Because typically, if one of the sessions has a monster move, it's like absolutely monster. I'm not talking about like 50 points or like 100 points. I'm talking about like 150 points, 200 points, 300 points, 500 points. Typically, you won't see anything above 300 points unless it's New York. But if let's say London has like a 200 point move to the upside, then you can expect that New York is going to have a big manipulation move, probably around open to the downside. Then it will distribute back to the upside, probably not that far, but it could keep ripping. But with that being said, we could see right here, okay? So Asia had a little bit of a manipulation, right? Just a little bit, okay? It made a new high from its little accumulation phase from, after hours yesterday. And then it's just started accumulating. And then London did the same exact thing. Started accumulating. And then what happened in New York? Massive distribution. Boom! Fell right off a cliff. For how many points? 406 to 370? What the fuck? Is that only 30 points? Okay, so maybe it wasn't that big of a move yesterday. Oh, yesterday was 4th of July. That's why. Yeah, nothing really happened at 4th of July. Maybe that's a bad day to look at. But let's look at a different day. Okay, this is a pretty good example right here. Okay, so we had an accumulation right here in Asia, right? And then boom, manipulation also happened in Asia. So it was pretending to accumulate, and then boom, manipulation during Asia, right? So what happened in London? It started to accumulate. And then it just accumulated most of the time, made a little bit of a lower low, but this is still basically accumulation, right? But then what happened in New York? Massive, massive, massive distribution. Just an insane run up from 975 all the way up to 120, basically a 200-point run, right? You see where I'm getting at? Accumulation, a little bit of manipulation into London session, and massive distribution into New York. Okay? Now let's try to find a day where London had a big, big distribution day, which is right here. So Asia accumulated, London distributed, and manipulated. Technically manipulated, then distributed. And then New York just accumulated and just ranged. So you kind of see here how throughout the different sessions, we can expect, those three things to happen. If one session is going to accumulate, then another session is either going to manipulate or distribute. And the final session will either go back to accumulation or distribute even further. Okay? So having an indicator like this can be pretty useful, just so you can kind of see what happens during each time zone. Like right here, another example. Asia, just pure accumulation, barely ran up. Manipulation, boom, straight in London. Boom, dumped off a cliff. Back into accumulation. New York, distribution back to try to break the London high. Couldn't do it, fell back down, which is the next lesson. There is basically always a time per month. I see it pretty often, honestly. I would almost call it like weekly or bi-weekly, where London will make a high or a new low from the Asia session, which typically happens every day. And then immediately at New York Open, it will choose one of those highs to immediately sweep. And then as soon as it sweeps it, it rejects it and just completely goes the opposite way. Sometimes straight to the London low or the Asia low. So right here we saw London high or Asia high right there. We saw New York Open dump off a cliff, sweep the London low, boom, 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 come right back up, sweep, just barely touch. It actually did sweep it just by like a tick, the London high, and then kind of just manipulate down and accumulate some more. So this is something that you want to always pay attention to. You want to pay attention to each trading session, and you want to make sure you know and you have charted their highs and their lows, because each other session will play sometimes, it's not always 100%, but most of the time I did notice that one of the sessions will target either the high or the low of the previous session, and it'll just sweep it just a little bit, unless there's a massive news event day or just a giant catalyst. and then it just decides to go on a monster rip, or we just entered a giant bull market and it's just ripping up for fucking ever for no reason, or vice versa with the bear market just falling off a cliff every single day for no reason. But yeah, I mean that pretty much sums it up. It's pretty simple. Now, get this indicator if you don't have it. It's very helpful. ICT Kill Zones Toolkit. It charts the pivot points for you, the high and lows of each session, and just kind of pay attention to it. If you haven't watched a live session where I am about to trade market open, there's videos on my YouTube you can go look at where I am trading London session and I'm holding a trade and I'm like, okay, we're very, very close to the London high. So London made a high, it pulled back, we're very close to the London high. So in my head, I'm thinking, okay, what does the market like to do? It likes to target liquidity, take liquidity, and then move on, right? Market loves to chase liquidity. So in my head, I'm thinking, okay, London high is not that far away. It's 5-10 minutes till market open for New York. I'm going to get in these longs, and I'm going to target the sweep of the London high. And then what happened? It actually happened. Boom. Soon as market opened, missiled straight to London high, and then it fell off a cliff and fell for like 300 points, which, I completely missed the cliff dive. But I got the little long. my theory was true. You know what I mean? It doesn't happen all the time, you know what I mean? But it is a good way to, build a strategy around, a New York Open play, a London Open play, or if you're going to trade Asia. I do not recommend trading Asia whatsoever. Don't ask me about Asia, or don't ask me for tips for Asia or anything like that. But yeah, I don't like Asia. But sometimes, there are decent moves in Asia. I mean, we had like what, 56 to, we had like a 50, 60 point move in Asia, which, is a giant move for Asia. Typically, Asia moves are, just like this. 159 to like 40 points. So like 60 points in one direction, pretty big move for Asia. But then we could see here that Asia had an accumulation, slow accumulation to the upside, technically manipulation. London opened up, a little bit more manipulation, decided to make a little higher high. I mean, we're in uncharted territory, so we have no idea why it went to that level. It went to that level, and someone just decided to sell. That's the hard part about trading uncharted territory. But we got to trade it because that's where we're at right now. We decided to manipulate up even more, and then it decided to accumulate, and then it started to distribute slowly downward, and then New York, massive distribution to the downside. Massive distribution to the downside in the morning. Back into accumulation in the PM. Okay? So, I think you guys get the gist of this video. There will always be accumulation, distribution, and manipulation, right? If one of the sessions are accumulating, or if both of the sessions are accumulating, like right here, Asia, I guess you could call this the manipulation right there, just like we talked about before, accumulation, 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 then you can expect a massive move in New York, which typically there is usually a massive move in New York because that's when, the stock market gets the craziest. So we did see the distribution straight to the downside in New York, while both of these markets accumulated. And then if we look over here, accumulation during Asia, London, distribution, manipulation, New York, massive distribution. Okay? And I know this sounds repetitive, but trading is repetitive. So I am going to keep repeating myself because that is the best way to engrave it into your brain so you learn this kind of stuff. You learn through repetition, you learn from mistakes, unfortunately, you learn from winning, fortunately, and you learn the most from repetition. So I will be repeating myself throughout the other chapters of this course because this is trading. Trading is a pretty simple thing. It's just we overcomplicate it so much because emotions get involved, and it's our money, it's our livelihood on the line. So there is a good reason for us to be emotional. And with knowing things like this, like the accumulation, manipulation, distribution, AMD strategy, and having this indicator, we could kind of have another tool in our pocket to keep our emotions in check, because us knowing this kind of stuff will help us not only make money, but be able to stay into trades that will make us the money. You know what I mean? And that is about it I have for you today. So, if you guys don't have it yet, Lux Algo ICT Kill Zones Toolkits. I have the settings just, to 15-minute time frame. I don't really want to see it on the higher time frames. Don't really care. I'll actually bump it up to the 30 just because I do have the 30 on my other screens. But yeah. So today, if you watch this video, you can look back on it. Today we have NFP. I'm thinking short. So we had the Asia accumulation into the London distribution, into more accumulation. It's a news day, so we're expecting a lot of accumulation. We have NFP in 45 minutes. We're going to see massive distribution. And, on news days, stuff like this typically, isn't the easiest to play. News days, unfortunately, are some of the harder days to trade because, the market's weary. People are unsure. Chances are it's just going to range just like this. So keep that in mind for news days. News days love to range. Pre-news days, they like to pick a direction. But news days typically range. I'm suspecting we're going to range. Just like we have been. 45 minutes. Shit, I got to get ready. I'm about to throw on 13 250k Apex accounts into one direction. Hopefully we pass and we get our 20 accounts funded with our $21,000 payout pending. Actually, it just got put under review today from Apex. We have $21,000 potentially gonna get approved. We will see. But that's all I have for this video. So stay beautiful, Mafia, and stay cool. Peace.